Alright, so I'm going to show you guys the basics to getting started in vcarve and making your board design. So we're going to create a new file. It should default to single-sided, just make sure it's on single-sided. Your width and your height. You want to set these 2 inches smaller than your physical board actually is. So my board is about 6 inches. I'm going to make this 4 wide. And I know the length is 20, so I'm going to make it 18. And the thickness for pretty much everything we do is 3/4. And then you have to make sure that this XY datum position is the top left corner. If for whatever reason yours requires a different corner, you can select that here, but generally speaking, we want this top left corner so everyone's doing the same thing. And then if you look at your board here, that's going to be always that top left corner. If you select anything else, we got to make sure the bit starts where you select it. Otherwise, your whole design is going to be off the board, which is a problem. So then you hit OK down here. And now we need some kind of image or text or whatever. For this one, I'm actually just going to go and use this Rapunzel image. So I just Windows Shift S. And I can drag that over that, bring it back. So I just went to Google, found an image that I like, and I'm going to paste it in here. Now, this may or may not work. It really just depends on the kind of image you have. But you may or may not have noticed this is basically like a coloring page out of a coloring book. That's the kind of image we want. You can get larger, blacker areas, and that'll still work. You can get more detailed stuff, that'll still work. But something like this is kind of ideal for what we're looking for. So next we want to go to this little symbol right here, which is going to trace the image, basically outline it. And we just scroll down here to preview. And that's what our Rapunzel will look like if we use it just the way it is. There's a fly buzzing around in here, trying to drive me crazy. If we don't like that level of detail, we can go up here to threshold and we can either increase it or decrease it and just see what that does to the image. Usually whatever it defaults at is pretty good. Not always. So it just depends what you're going for. I might actually need to find a better image for this, but just to get you through the steps here, we're going to go with this for now and see how it goes. Trying to get that fly. He is driving me nuts. Alright, so we're going to try to just use this the way it is. You can typically get a better image than this if you want. You just have to go around the internet and search for one. I'm probably going to look for a better one, because this is for my daughter and she likes perfection. So we apply that, and then we're going to hit this close button here, and now we have our picture that we started with, and we have an outline of this new image. So I just want to click on kind of the white space behind it, and that's going to select the original image, and I can delete that. Now I'm left with just the lines. Now if you're going to use the laser from here, you want to highlight everything. File, you can save it if you want to, but what we really need to do is export it as a DXF, and then the laser can understand or read that file type. And then you're going to go over to the laser, and I'll have a different video for setting up the laser at a different time. But for now, that's as far as you need to go for the laser. But for vcarve and using the routers, you're going to do a different set of steps. We're going to go over here to toolpath. Select the V after you have sized this up the way that you want it, which I guess I should do that first because that's what I'm talking about here. So we use the third mouse, grab the corner, and I can make this thing bigger. I'm just going to bump it around with my keys, my arrow keys on the keyboard, and it's a little big. Don't ever shrink it from the side or the top in the center. It'll get disproportional and it'll look horrible. You always want to grab it from the corner and shrink it consistently down. Let's say you need this thing to be like 45 degrees. You can hit 9 or 0, and that will rotate the image. So just one click of 9 puts it on a 45, another one's 90, and so on and so forth till you spin all the way around. Or 0 will go the other direction. But there she is. She fits pretty good, about as good as I can probably get her. Center her up a little bit. And we go to toolpath. And we're going to click on the V here. And our start depth should be 0. Flat depth should be 3/8 of an inch, or 0.375. The bit that you have selected should be 90 degrees, 1 inch. And if we look at the settings in there, your feed rate should be about 70. When I say about, I mean 65, 70, somewhere in that ballpark. Plunge rate, 10 to 20. It's just 20 is going to make it run a little faster. Pass depth, 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. Number of flues is 2, and it'll automatically calculate the chip load and stuff. So you don't need to worry about that too much, but I just wanted to click in here so you can see what the settings are, because I know when you first install the program, these are not always the same thing. Now, I am running a 1-inch diameter bit, and the same settings really will work for a smaller bit, but this is for a 1-inch. All right, so that tab likes to go away, so we just open it back up. Toolpath, and there's nothing else in here that I have to really adjust. I do want to give it a name. I'm just going to call this Princess. Calculate. Usually I can just continue anyway, and I don't have too many issues. Once this is up, I can go into Toolpaths again, and it's going to be in the preview window. If I close that, these are all your options. So this is where we went for vcarve. This one will tell you how long it takes. This is going to run for about 9 minutes with those settings. If the settings are wrong, this will take much, much longer. You can close that. This is where you can actually see it run through a preview. So if you slide this bar all the way to the right and press play, it'll actually carve it out virtually for you on the board so you can see kind of what it looks like. If you slow it down a little bit, you can see it actually moving through the different movements. I usually just go full throttle on this thing because if it's slower, it takes a lot more CPU power and it doesn't render real well for me. And I am running an i5 processor, in case you're curious. Then to save this, understand that this toolpath Princess is completely different than the file over here that we can go back to the 2D view and we can move it around. We can add text. We can do a bunch of other things, add shapes and things to it. The 3D view is really just giving you a representation of what that could look like. But the toolpath, this is what the CNC router understands, reads, and follows. So you have to save this here. Make sure it's selected, and then you can save that toolpath, and we usually put it on a flash drive. And then we just plug that into the router and we can go with it. And I have paper instructions that you can follow from there. But that's pretty much the end of the software aspect of it to do something they call this 2.5 dimension. We can do 3D carving as well. It's a little more advanced, but everybody has a chance to run through this process. So that's saving the toolpath. If you want to save this file, let's say maybe it's the wrong size or your datum position is wrong and you need to open this back up and edit it, you cannot edit the toolpath. It is stuck in stone. There's not really anything you can do to that. But this over here, you can still change if you have it saved. You have to go to File, Save, or Save As in order to save this and so that you can change it or make changes or edits later. Otherwise, you're stuck with the toolpath. It cannot be, altered. If you have to make an altercation or change something, do that here. And then I would just wipe right over top of this original toolpath if you know you're not going to use it again. If you're not quite sure, call it Princess 2 or Princess New or something. Give it a new name on there. Typically, I would prefer that you use your last name and first name for this toolpath, because you're probably only going to make one. And when you save it on a flash drive, you'll see here I have some years in here, 2023, for example. And then before I started doing years, I have a whole bunch of random files in there. It's hard to find them. So most of the flash drives have 2022, 2023, and now 2024 on there. So make sure you grab the right year or add a year so that you can find your files a little bit easier under those folders. Otherwise, you're going to be sifting through 50, 60 files trying to figure out where your stuff is. So I'm actually going to save mine under Princess Bed and save it in there. So there it is. And that's just on the computer. That's not even a flash drive. All right. Good luck out there. Do not crash my router. If you have any questions at all, please talk to me about it first, or leave a comment below and smash that subscribe button. Actually, don't smash it. Let's crush it. I'm out.